Hello and welcome to season 2 Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I personally think this is possibly the strongest season in the entire run. And let's be honest, there are some fantastic episodes in this one. Some absolute dynamite episodes. And I liked how let's just get into what's new. Um, we have the introduction of Spike and Drusilla. We have the introduction of Oz as what becomes Willow's love interest. And, the overall season is very good. And not only is it very good, it kind of pulls a switcheroo on you because the first up until what would be a mid-season break, it's all about Spike and how he's trying to regain Drusilla's strength through using magical MacGuffins. And that's great. I love Spike. He's possibly one of the best characters in the show. I would go so far as to suggest that as the seasons went on when he came back as a full-time regular, I would suggest he became more popular than Buffy. Controversial. Maybe. But I would suggest that. And then obviously, spoilers, let's be honest. We should have all seen it. At the mid-season, what would be a mid-season break, we get the Judge storyline and how, in trying to stop him, Angel and Buffy sleep with each other and he pops her cherry. And we know that a moment of pure happiness turns him back to Angelus. And then we've got the rest of the season where he's bad. And I think that's where some of the stronger episodes, the overall strongest episode is Passions. Let's be honest, that's fantastic in writing, in the actor's delivery, in the suspense. It really plays into the horror aspects in that episode when he's hunting Jenny Calendar. Fantastic episode. And the second half of the season, like I said, is Angel being bad and Buffy's attempts or lack thereof of stopping him because she's not emotionally ready yet, and overall the season is fantastic. So let's get into it a bit more, shall we? So let's get into the season, shall we? We'll do just a brief overview of this season, and then I'll go into what my favourite episodes are. So episode 1 opens up with Buffy returning from LA, and she's brought quite the attitude with her. Not unsurprising, really, because she did die and came back from the dead, so you can have a bit of sympathy. But she pushes away all her friends, and it takes Cordelia, of all people, to give her a bit of a readjustment talk, and the episode ends. She keeps dreaming actually that they're trying to get the master returns, and his minions are trying to bring his body back because they gather all the bones, and I guess they want to do some magical MacGuffin. But before anything can happen, Buffy turns his bones into dust, which is quite therapeutic for her. And that's pretty much finishing the season 1 arc. And we move on. So we have a number of introductions. In episode 3, School Hard, Drusilla and Spike are introduced. And this is one of my favourite episodes. So he comes into the vampire's lair where they're just moping around now because the master's gone. And Spike rocks up, big and brash as he is, and he says he'll take care of the Slayer problem. And it's there that we learn that he's previously killed 2 Slayers in the past. And, you know, he don't like to brag. And then he goes, no, I'm kidding, of course I love to brag. So he becomes de facto kind of leader. He has a bit of a stalking session with Buffy where he sends some red-shirted vampires to get dusted. Oh, just so he can watch her, see how she is, you know, try and perfect a strategy against her, I suppose. You know. And she obviously dusts these vampires. He briefly introduces himself. And we then get parts of the episode where it's like, you know, we find out who Spike was. William the Bloody. He was known as the worst vampire in existence, second only to Angel, as Angel walks in and tells him. So that's what pretty much the episode is. It's, you know, the introduction of Spike and Drusilla. Why are they in town? Spike wants to use the Hellmouth to make Drusilla whole again because he suffered a bit of a beating or whatever. Is that what it is? Yeah. He got chased by a mob. Which is quite a running thing, really, for Spike, but, you know. But anyway, he's trying to use the Hellmouth to get her back up to full strength. That is a bit weird how this happens. How she needs the Hellmouth, you know, because by episode 12, 13, no, 12, I think, he restores her using her strength using magic, but he himself gets injured. And she promises to do the same for him, but he gets better all on his own. So I'm not sure whether he just weren't injured as much, or, you know, they were playing loose and fast with the rules. But anyway, we move on, and Buffy's told by Snyder that her and this rebellious girl have to do, you know, the decorations and stuff for parent-teacher meetings. And neither of them are actually happy about this, but, you know, they've got to, well, they're supposed to work together, but they don't. And we end up with Spike hijacking the parent-teacher evening, and of course it's his minions against Buffy, and they're all red shirts, so they die. We get the first confrontation between her and Spike, which I think is really good, and obviously she wins. She wins because her mother smacks Spike round the back of the head with an axe, you know, and that's a really nice. Well, it's not really nice for Spike, but later in the season we get a nice callback to that where Joyce recognises Spike. So, you know, Angel tries to fool Spike by trying to make him believe that he's still evil, but Spike knows that he's turned already. So, you know, that's the opening thing to do with Spike, and then he's just reoccurring throughout the season. He's there in Lie to Me when one of Buffy's ex-boyfriends from LA comes to Sunnydale, you know, seemingly to be all, you know, happy and, you know, nice to see you, but secretly is unfortunately dying of cancer and a brain tumour or something like that. And he wants to use Buffy in exchange for becoming a vampire because, you know, we get introduced to this world of where, you know, we know how emos or whatever have fucking these romantic notions of vampires. And it's funny, that episode, in the respect where they're all dressed like Angel, but Angel thinks, you know, he's unique, and vampires, you know, it's all cliche what the vampires, pretend vampires, are doing, and it's him all over. So it's quite funny. And he comes to Spike and says, I can give you the Slayer, but I want to make a deal. You turn me into a vamp. And Spike isn't overly keen on that. But, the trap is set. And, Buffy doesn't get killed, obviously. But Spike keeps his words, but the dude stakes as soon as he starts rising from the ground. So that's that over and done with. And they're one of the other highlighted episodes for me. We get a budding relationship between Jenny Calendar and Giles. And that's cute. They're cute together. But, spoiler alert, as you all know, it doesn't last. One, because they have a massive falling out once it's revealed that she was sent there to spy on Buffy. And two, because Angel kills her. And, some of these episodes for me are fantastic. Don't get me wrong. And there's others that I was, Ted, I don't really care about that episode. And so the big reveal for season 2 is, like I said, during the Judge arc, where Spike's... Well, this scene now, tangent. We're led to believe Spike wants to bring this Judge character back together, but he's going to destroy the world. He can destroy the world just by, using touch, and while his powers are strong enough, he can just burn people inside out who have even the hint of a conscience. But so he knows full well he's going to destroy the world. But when it comes to Angel trying to destroy the world, he's against that. Okay, mainly it's because he's jealous of Angel and Drew's relationship. But Spike is guilty of trying to end the world as well in this one, I think. So anyway, the Judge is assembled, despite the heroic efforts of our trio, the Scooby Gang. And Buffy and Angel sleep with each other. Like I said, he pops a cherry and he turns bad. And that's when the whole season turns around. We also get Oz introduced, who's a fun character. Willow does have a shine to him, despite her still having feelings for Xander. And Joy, what's my line, Part 1? Is it? I think. Xander and Cordelia are trapped in a closet and they end up making out. Does it make sense? No, because these are two characters that previously despised each other. However, opposites attract. So, and it causes tension between Xander and Willow and sets her up to go have her thing with Oz. So, that's a brief overview up to the mid-season break. Now, Buffy sleeps with Angel and she ends up spending the night. It's not just a wham bam thank you. He wakes up in the middle of the night in pain and his soul has been taken once again and he is now Angelus. We find this out because he kills right away. There's a prostitute checks on him while she's smoking and he bites into her as she's, inhaling a cigarette and he blows out the smoke because, he's killed her, mid-breathing or whatever. And that is a very, very nice introduction to Angelus. Let's be honest. David Boreanaz as Angelus in both Buffy and Angel, brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. I think Angelus is one of the perfect bad guys. He really is just awful. An awful, awful monster. We learn in the earlier episodes how he tortured Darla mentally before, he killed her, he turned her into a vampire. And he uses a lot of the same tricks to try and get into Buffy's head and to break her down. And the second half of the season, wow. I mean, kudos to Joss Whedon for the writing on these, you know. So, what am I talking about? Well, of course, we have, as I mentioned. Oh, we also introduced to Kendra, the Vampire Slayer. She is introduced in What's My Line? Um, yeah, she's. I can't really give her a lot to say because she's only in a couple of episodes before she gets off. Um, I was wrong. It's in Surprise where Buffy and Angel sleep with each other. But so what are the standout episodes going forward for the second half of the season? Surprise and Innocence are good. You know, very, very strong. Innocence is the one where Angel has gone bad properly rather than just at the last 20 seconds of episode 13. It is Surprise. And the judge has been assembled, and we are told that no weapon forged by man can kill him. It took an army last time to chop him up into little bits and separate him at all ends of the earth. But rocket launchers aren't necessarily forged, are they? So obviously they do the trick and blow him up. So that's that. In the episode Innocence, we are also introduced more to the curse. And in particular, it's the current generation of the gypsies who installed the curse that Jenny Calendar belongs to. And Angel kills her uncle, who we see for the first time. And it's been... Oh, and Buffy. Oh, he does a number on Buffy. You know, because she doesn't know whether... Because she asked, was she good? You know, in reference to them having sex for the first time. And he turns around and says something like, you were a pro. You know, mocking her. It was, and totally destroying her. And he says to Spike, you know, to kill this Slayer, you have to love her. You know, you have to know her weaknesses. It's not like when Spike just went toe to toe with him. You know, he's done that in the past and it didn't work. Where Angel wants to try and destroy her mentally first. So, you know, that is Innocence is the first episode where Angel's gone bad. And then for me, the next best episode, and then we get a couple of filler episodes where, you know, we're introduced to the world of magic through Amy. Xander and Cordelia break up, so he casts a love spell, but it casts all the women, not just who Xander wants. He wants it to try and get Cordelia back, but everyone fancies him from, you know, Buffy, her mum, to Drusilla. And they use magic to, you know, undo it. So that's our first proper introduction to magic in the episode. And then we get possibly the best episode of the season, Passion, where Miss Calendar is working on the original cure to cure Angel, because she's translating text, you know, the magic of online even back then. You know, so she's trying to translate it through a computer program. And Drusilla senses this, and Angel is in full, just, you know, destroying mode here. So, you know, he's in Buffy's house while she's asleep, drawing pictures of her. He's in Willow's house and kills all her pet fish. You know, and Buffy thinks that she's going to target her mum next, and they desperately try and find a spell to make it so that vampires can't come in again until you invite them once again. So they search for an original lock. As Buffy says, the locks have been changed. And, you know, this is just such an emotional episode. We see the horror and, you know, the anxiety going through the going through the group where Willow finds her fish dead and Buffy finds that he's been in the bedroom just drawing her while she was asleep. And it really plays into the horror aspect where he can get these just whenever he wants. You know? And it's just, the writing is brilliant. I mean, the acting is fantastic. The way David Boreanaz portrays Angelus is just, chef's kiss. So anyway, Buffy tells Jenny Calendar she doesn't want to get in the way between her and Giles. So, it's foreshadowing really, isn't it? But, Jenny and Giles propose to meet later on that night. Says she'll come round to his. But little does anyone know that this is the time where Angel kills her. She asks, he comes into the school library, into the classroom, and I'm guessing it's supposed to be private property, which doesn't make sense because he's been in the school in the past, into the school library. But she asks him, how did you get in here? And he replies, the school motto or something, enter all who seek knowledge. So that's how he got in. And he chases her for a bit. She tries to run away. But we just get this fantastic shot where they're in a big, there's a big open, big window. They're stood in front of it and he just snaps her neck. And it's psychotic of Angel, obviously, but he's the bad vampire now. He's Angelus. But it's just, the cinematography of that is just really good. Brilliant. And we skip to Giles, who's coming up to his house, and there's a note on the door saying, come upstairs, and there's petals and everything leading all the way up. And, Giles thinks, hey, up, I'm in here, to put it bluntly, to put it crudely. And it's not until he gets up into his bedroom that he sees that Angelus has positioned her in such a way where it takes a moment for Giles to register what's happened, and then you realise that she's dead, and it then skips to Buffy's house, and Angel's watching through the kitchen window as they get the news that Jenny Calendar's been killed, and both Willow and Buffy just break down in tears. I mean, it's fantastic cinematography. It really is. And you feel because actors used to act at one point. They used to be able to emote, and you feel the sorrow. And Angelus is obviously buzzing at this, but Spike's concerned, like, you've just pissed off the Slayer and she knows where we live. And on cue, you get Giles throws down a petrol bomb and sets to work on attacking Angel. Now, obviously, Giles can't last long, and Angel quickly overpowers him before Buffy arrives and, saves the day and pulls Giles from the fire and rescues him. And he's not happy at this because, he wanted to, I suppose he was on a suicide mission, and because he wasn't thinking straight, he just snapped. And it is just by far it's the best episode of that season, and one of the best episodes all round. It really is just fantastic, and it properly helps move the story on, because Buffy's finally in an emotionally right place where she can kill Angel. So that's Passion's easily the best. That's episode 17. Easily the best episode of that season. And then, we have a couple more episodes. One where Buffy's ill and only she can see the attacker. It's a bit like or the supernatural episode where it's a doctor doing the killing all along, as a demon. So it's a bit like, if you've seen that episode, you've pretty much seen this, but, I Only Have Eyes for You, which is another strong, strong episode, where this is all flashbacks to the Sadie Hawkins dance, I believe it is. And, we have, it ends with Buffy and Angel taking the role of respective characters so that this drama that the ghosts have been going through can, last forever, because obviously Angel can't be killed by a bullet or anything. So another strong episode, and then we lead up to, there's one about, the analogy is drug use in schools, but I don't care about that. It was the one where they're swimming and they're all locked up on drugs. It's a meh episode. But the season ends with Angel wanting to destroy the world. Drusilla senses that a demon has been dug up, Al-Kafa, and Angel tries his very, very bestest to raise the demon, and he can't. So he kidnaps Giles, tortures him. Meanwhile, Kendra is killed by Drusilla, and Spike and Buffy form an alliance to save the world. Spike's proviso being that he can take Drusilla out with him alive, and they'll never hear from him again. He bloody well hopes. And we get more backstory to Angel. About how when he came to the country he was, trying to eat rats to survive, and it's Whistler that tells him, you can be more, and he takes him to see Buffy, and it basically gets Angel almost. He's like the Doyle character from Angel. He gets Angelus, Angel, at the time, working for the powers that be. And the season ends with Willow gets a nasty knock on the head, and when she comes round, her first thoughts are for Oz, which wounds Xander quite a bit. It's like he didn't know what he had until he almost lost it, kind of situation. And we end up with Buffy and Angelus fighting to the death. And I should mention, Willow has found Jenny Calendar's cure on the, can you believe it, floppy disk. Wow, that's how far back we're going with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She re-ensouls Angel just as the demon's about to breathe, so Buffy has no choice but to stab him and send him off to a hell dimension. And that's it. That's season 2. I said I talked about Passions and how that was my favourite episode. School Hard, that's my another strong opening episode, just because I love the introduction of Spike. I love learning more about Angel and how he truly was such a monster back in the days of being Angelus. And that's just when we learn, when he tells Buffy of how he tortured Drew. And then we see how bad Angel gets. I said in the first episode review, the writing for the show, irrespective of what you may think of Joss Whedon now, and how, he may have been too handsy, or he weren't always the nicest director, irrespective of whether you like him as a person, you can't deny that the writing ability of the guy was just truly brilliant. I mean, I'm talking like he's dead and he's not, but he might as well be, because at the moment he's still a social pariah when it comes to Hollywood. But the writing for this season is absolutely fantastic in places. When they pulled out all the stops, they certainly pull it out. And not to mention the writing, it's just your emotions are all over the show. They really, really know how to do their job as actors and actresses, as writers. We have, Oz who comes in. He's more deadpan, but he's almost like the same kind of comic relief as Xander. And I like the way, Oz and Willow's relationship, the way it starts, all the way through, is just really good. When she finds out that he's a werewolf, she says, there's a couple of days in a month that I'm not so cranky either, which obviously is a bit of a joke, but I don't think you'd be able to get away with that joke nowadays. Not with today's fucking, get angry at everything lot. And the music, Buffy and Angel's theme is fantastic. Let's be honest. That is just a cracker and that always gets you. We see the pain on Buffy's face when she has to kill Angel now. He's got his soul back, but she still has to kill him to stop the demon from swallowing the world. I liked a little bit of Spike's backstory, but we don't get to see it proper till season 5 when we see his backstory. So I might have rushed this a bit. It doesn't feel like it when I look at the minutes. I've probably missed a load out, so forgive me. You tell me which were your favourite moments of the show. I think one of the great lines is in Innocence when Willow spots Xander and Cordelia kissing, and Xander races after her because she runs away, and he says it doesn't mean anything, and she turns around and says, no, it does. It means you'd rather be with someone you hate than me. That is a fantastic line. Fantastic bit of writing and delivery by Alison Hannigan. So, and like I said, the episode's full of them. Spike's little speech at the end, when he's doing his, when he's proposing his treaty with Buffy. I like this world. It's full of people walking around like Happy Meals on legs. He loses a bit of points for being a Man United fan because he's got a Cockney accent, and since that he tried to model his accent a lot on the guy who plays Giles, he could have had a word with him and said, no, you shouldn't support United if you're from down south. Although in real life lots of Southerners do. So and how when he's trying to get away with Drusilla, he's like, she physically, tries to stop him. He's like, I don't want to hit you, love. And then she hits him and he smacks her and he goes, it doesn't mean I wouldn't. And then you just see him, just as he's carrying Drusilla off, he turns around and he sees Buffy and Angel fighting, and he's like, oh God, they're going to kill each other. And just, and walks off. Brilliant bit of delivery. Brilliant, So, season 2 for me, easily one of the best, if not my favourite season. Anyway, that's it for me. Bye-bye.